Welcome to Grit, the Real Estate Growth Mindset podcast, hosted by Brian Charlesworth, founder of Sisu. Sisu provides growth automation software for real estate. You'll hear stories from real estate thought and technology leaders, team owners, and brokers on how they grew their business in a rapidly changing industry. You'll learn how to transform your brokerage and teams into a high-performing and analytics-driven business so you have a new, durable, competitive advantage against disruption in your market. So let's get right into it.
Welcome back, everyone. I am excited to kick things off this year in 2025 with my first guest, Veronica Figueroa. She is somebody I've been trying to get on this show for probably 9 months now. And between her schedule and my schedule, that's been a little difficult. But welcome to today's episode of the Grit Podcast. Again, this is our kickoff for 2025. And there's no one I would rather kick things off with in 2025 than Veronica. So, Veronica, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Veronica's been one of the top flex teams for years. She was one of the Zillow offer teams back in the day when Zillow did that. I think you had the largest producing team at EXP one year. Is that right?
2 years in a row.
2 years in a row. So amazing, amazing, because EXP is full of big teams, right? So
Yeah, we just keep on getting better and better with so many amazing teams.
so anyway, it's great to have you on the show today. I know we had the opportunity at Sisu to work with you years ago, and then you hired some, CTOs and different things, and kind of Sisu was kind of, okay, we're going to build all these other systems to do it. And now you're back with Sisu. But anyway, why don't you give us a little bit of background? I'd like to just start off with like, where are you at now? Like, what are you excited about for this year in 2025?
Yeah, well, I'm super grateful that you guys kind of took me back. So I'll say thank you on that. I think we're always evolving and maturing in our business. And, where I'm at today, if I had to say, is I'm in a really good place as an operator. I've learned a lot of lessons, and I think the last few years have taught us a lot. And I'm really excited about the future. I've gone through a lot of changes as an operator. Like I said, we were the number one team 2 years in a row at EXP. At the peak, we sold 2,000, a little over 2,200 homes. And I learned a lot. But I think what we realized is, although we were doing really big numbers, we were really running a complex business. And where I'm at today, Brian, I think it just comes with time, with wisdom, with, just maturity, is I'm super excited to run a healthy business that's sustainable, that's simple, that's not complex, with really good people. And even at I would say 2024, as we were transitioning, we still, sold close to 500 homes, which I'm super, super proud of. Even while I was not in the driver's seat of running the team, I was kind of building multiple things. But I think as the visionary of my team, that I've had the privilege of running this team for a long time now, I think the word that I would say for 2025 and where we're at is running a healthy business that's simple, that's fun, and that is just with good people and not complicated. I don't know if
Yeah.
that makes sense. We just want to do good business. And that's why we're super excited to be working with you guys, because when we sat down and you asked me where I was at, I was like, man, Brian, I need to clean up some of the things that we did while we were operating at such a high level that when I kind of took a look at everything, there was a lot of redundancies. There was a lot of unnecessary things in our business and it felt heavy, felt really heavy. And here you come in and you reassure me that we're on the right track and that we're not the only ones that are reevaluating our business. And, there's a lot of distractions out there in the business and the industry. And I think I was guilty of being one like, oh, shiny object, or people are doing this, we should do this. And then, when you become clear as to who you are as an operator, you start eliminating the noise and you get hyper focused and you're like, this works for me, or this is the kind of business I want to run. So I'm excited for Sisu to be a part of our simplicity model and our feel good journey that we're on.
Well, thank you. And this show is certainly not about Sisu, but I do want to mention, I think you are the only team owner that I've ever said these words to. And I basically said, I think you had your CTO on his way out the door. And I said, Veronica, I've got you. I
I
will
know.
be your CTO, or better yet, my team will be your CTO. So how's that working out for you today?
Oh my gosh, my team loves you, loves, the entire Sisu team. And, I think what I did with my team, we sat down and when we talked about what winning would look like. And one of the things for 2024 as we close out the year is like we will become Sisu super users. We're going to learn, the ins and out. We're going to make sure that we're super, super intentional, that we're good students and we dive deep. And the last, I would say 90 days to probably 120 days, my team and it take that long, but they've just been excited to dive deeper and deeper and deeper. And when a change like that happens, when you lose or you part ways with someone that is, probably a big part of your business because they have so much information, your data, and you're making all these transition, it's interesting to see the amount of people, either people can get nervous or they can rise. And like even seeing like ECs and Harold and the team rise up and they say, we love the simplicity and they love to know that they have the support that they can lean on, a true, I would say, operations team or tech team that can have our back and give us that certainty. The team's super excited and they accomplished what I asked them to do. I said this is what winning's gonna look like, and they're all in. And I will say we're proud super users now.
That's
It's been
awesome.
great.
I'm happy to hear that. I didn't know you considered yourself that yet. So that's
Yeah.
exciting for me.
Well, we're actually flying out to see you guys, and they're excited. The ops team is excited to just kind of see behind the scenes. But it's every single day we're in the system, we're learning, we're obsessed with the information that we have in front of us, and we're utilizing it for you know recognition, to celebrate, to make decisions. So it's really exciting to make that part of our business and realize that on the other side of some of those scary decisions, you have a team of people who will have your back, and I'm extremely blessed.
Yeah, I mean, it's been one of our biggest focuses over the last few years is truly making sure that we support our customers. It's like we are your partner in growing your business. That's our focus. Like whatever we can do. And our team, I remember back the first time you came to CC, we didn't even have anyone that could help you onboard. So come a long way since then. Switching gears a little bit, you mentioned something just about like rebuilding in 2024. And obviously, you guys have gone through a lot of change. Many people have gone through a lot of change. We've gone from 1.6 million agents in NAR to about a million now. So
Yeah.
like that's a big change in itself. But you guys, I know you are now like on this rise of growing and increasing, call it unit production again, which equates to closed volume as well. But like, what are some of the lessons you learned in 2024 to take it to the next level?
Yeah, so, I just mentioned one of them, obviously, really running an operation that isn't as complex as we used to. That was one of the things that we were focused on, and we're happy to be on the other side of that. One of the things I'll say that you guys probably talk about or have talked about on the show, if I've seen some of the guests, is, never let your foot off of recruiting. Even though we've been in a market where there's been obviously a declining agent count, there are agents that still want to be a part of a team, and you have to continue to stay in recruiting mode. We know that, you know that. That is one of the mistakes I made. I am and have always been the best recruiter for my team. And unfortunately, it's been hard to find someone to replace me when it comes to the high level recruiting. But even when I don't have a designated recruiter, we recruit about 6 to 8 agents a month on our team. But even then, that's not enough. We recognize that everyone who applies or shows interest isn't always going to make the cut. People talk a really great game or they believe that they want to be held accountable, but when they look at, the standards and they see that we are running a true operation, some people just realize this isn't for them. One of the things that I learned throughout my years is, don't make changes to your business simply because agents don't want to comply. Don't necessarily change your standards because people are complaining because what's best for them to
Mhm.
get the production. That, they have to make sure that they maintain their database, that they're prospecting. The accountability is a must. The notes are so important. Follow up is so important. And, sometimes I've seen operators and even myself, we would make exceptions for certain people, and all it did was lower the standard of the team. So, of course, 2025 was. We cleaned house in a lot of areas of our business. And I'm glad that we got back to, just accepting the fact that you make changes sometimes for people who are here, but they might not be here tomorrow. And now
Yeah.
you're stuck with those changes. So that was a really valuable lesson that I hope that I can share with others who might be listening. I'm the first one to talk, like I'll be vulnerable and talk about all of our mistakes. And I love when people ask us about that because so many people be like, oh my God, you guys did so well. Tell us how you did it. No, let me tell you about all of our mistakes we've made. But, as an operator, you just get back up. You learn from them. And I have never had a problem saying to my team, hey, I screwed that one up. That one
Yeah.
was on me. And I think they appreciate that. Operators, I think another mistake that I could say that I've made was I said this not too long ago. I outsourced the heart too soon. I outsourced the heart of the team to the wrong person and too soon. And if you become too transactional and you lose the culture, your business will eventually it'll suffer. And I think there has to be a good balance between heart and science. That's your marketing, that's your, data, but we're in the people business and people want to work for people
Yeah.
that they know, like, and trust, that they feel that they have access to, that they care for. And those are some of the lessons and the mistakes I had to accept as a leader, that the more we grew, there were going to be cracks. And some of those cracks were the fact that people felt like, they were on a team that maybe got a little bit too transactional. Because when you're selling 2,200 homes, Brian, you better have the right leadership
Yeah.
in place. And you can't treat these people like they're a number on a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And when I did feel like I had friction in my business, it was when I realized I was out of alignment and it was running too data driven and not enough of the balance of the heart of the people, because people, they are choosing to be in your world. And if they feel like they're just a number, they won't last.
You just shared four massive, massive nuggets, and thank you for being so vulnerable. But that's what I love about you. Like you're like, yeah, I was number one team, and now I'm in a total rebuild. Couple of things you talked about, outsourcing the heart. So I have an experience. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. I started my first business when I was 25, and when I was 28 years old, I had a business that we had just raised $43 million. We ended up bringing in some VCs that thought we were a $1 billion business and they were going to accept nothing else. So about 90 days after that happened, after we raised the money, we had an opportunity to sell the business to a few big names. And one of the things I ended up doing, because of some of the things that were going on with my board there, is I ended up doing exactly what you just said: outsource the heart of my business. In other words, I brought in a CEO from a big company thinking he could take this to the billion. And all he did is kill the heart of the company, because back then it wasn't like today. Back then everyone thought, oh, these young entrepreneurs, you need to replace them with some seasoned entrepreneur. And now we all know, like, the Amazons of the world, or the, call it Facebook or whatever, it's the founder that took it to that level, right? It's not outsourcing the heart. So I think many times, even though you do an excellent job of bringing in the right people to run your business, and I see Spring do the same thing, where she doesn't have to be in the business. She's working on the business. You're working on the business, but you're still the heart of the business. And
Yeah.
if you let that go, that's where things can start to change, right? Because then the culture changes. And that's one of the things you talked about, was culture.
Yeah.
You talked about, okay, now all of a sudden you let one agent not live by the way you want your team to run. Now what starts to happen?
The rest of the culture crumbles.
It changes your entire culture, right? So then we have to start from the bottom, and we have to recruit people, to your third point, right? We have to recruit people from the bottom in, people who are going to do what we want them to do and work the way we want them to work, so that we can change the culture from the bottom up again.
Yeah.
Because these agents who have been around forever, who are no longer living the culture, are no longer in high production. These new agents, that's the beautiful thing about running a team. You can get these new agents in production and doing 5, 6 transactions a month within 90 days, if they'll do what you say to do, right?
If you've been enjoying Grit, please help us continue to grow the channel by leaving a 5-star review and sharing it with a friend. Now back to Grit.
Yeah, and you know what? I think another lesson, Brian, is that, cash hides mistakes, right? When money's coming in, cash is good. In the COVID years, it was
Yep.
like, it was a rainbow. It was like a unicorn year, right? Those were unicorn years.
2 years, two
Interest
years.
rates
Yeah.
were great. Like we had Zillow offers. And prior to that, I had already been a team leader for 10 years. So it wasn't like it was my first rodeo. I'd been through multiple market shifts, but this was different. It was like, wow, it's crazy. So I brought in talent that got to enjoy the ride of the high. So when things started shifting, people started panicking. And I'm like, why is everybody, so uptight? This is called real estate. We pivot. Actually, I'm excited. The market we're about to enter is a competitive market. It's what I grew up in. It's, oh my God, we have days on market, more than 30, 45 days. We have a higher absorption rate than 2 months. Like this is real estate. But
We have expired listings
we
coming
have
back to the
expired
market.
listing. Yeah, we have expired listings. Like it's competitive. People want discounts, people want options. Oh my gosh, it was like the end of the world. And I was like, wow, another mistake. I didn't prepare people for the reality of what real estate was prior to that hockey, what is it, the hockey
The
stick,
hockey stick.
right?
Yeah.
And it was just like boom to the moon, right? And everybody was excited. Then when you weren't number one anymore, people felt like they were failing, Brian. And yet we're still selling four, 500, 600 homes. They're like, that's not good enough. I'm like, guys, do you understand that what we did was, you know, it was unique and we could do it again, but the only way to do it again is, now in this market, it's going to look different. And do we even want to do it again like that? What's
Mhm.
most important? Profitability, culture, the
Yeah.
right leadership. So it was interesting. So for me, I was like, it was crazy to witness how people expect to always be winning and they don't know how to shift in a market and they're usually beating themselves up because the industry still thinks we're winning. I mean that's I didn't have some self-proclaimed title where I'm like, "Oh my God, I'll always sell 2,000 homes in a year." Like,
Yeah.
so I was like, or I'll always sell 1,000 homes. It was part of that, really cool, like I would say unicorn era. Now, what's really cool is we paved the way for a lot and we know how to do it. I know how to do it again. Now it's a matter of we're going to do it the right way this go round. And I think it's going to be a lot more fun.
So I want to talk about that for a minute. This podcast is called Grit for a reason, because of people like you. That's why you're on here. But I think the industry, if we were to look at the industry today, most people in this industry have been in it now less than 5 years, right? They don't know. They don't have the grit that you have to say, oh, I've been through this before. We're going to make these pivots. We're going to do this. We're going to simplify. And we're going to build a more profitable business. It may be smaller, but it's more profitable than when we were just on this, hockey stick journey. But how do we as leaders today, like, how do you get your team on board with really the grit? I would say having to shift, having to now actually do the work versus just get a Zillow lead and the next day it's under contract. I think there's so many people that got so spoiled by that market that they forgot how to work. They forgot the grit, or they never had it because they're so new to the market. They've never been in here and they've had to grind and make the phone calls and do the work, do the follow-up. So how do you get people back into that? And maybe you don't know, but I don't know anybody. Like that's a big challenge today, right?
Well, we have a mutual friend, right, Chubb, and he's been my coach for 8 years. And right, you can't make anyone be productive. You just have to create an environment of accountability and productivity where everybody is pushing each other to excellence, right? And
Yeah.
ultimately, people are going to weed themselves out. They're going to be like, I can't keep up. Like, this is too much. But what I love is right now, the culture of our team, instead of it feeling like people on the outside might say whatever they want, but for me, I'm sleeping well at night. I feel good because what's happening is the quality of the agent and the culture is rising because we're watching our agents who are now becoming the top producers on our team, like literally empower and inspire the newer agents. And they're the ones showing them, hey, man, this is what we do. Like we're a culture of XYZ. We're actually seeing new agents who want to join our company. They're being brought in by other agents, or they're the ones helping us select who's a right fit for our agent. They're like, hey, Vero, that's what they call me on the team. Hey, Vero, this
What's that
person,
name? Hey, what?
Vero, it's Veronica, but it's Vero. So now you know what
Hey,
my
Vero.
closest friends call me. It's Vero.
Roll the R a little bit and you get Vero.
Vero. That's my nickname. So they're either V or Vero. So they're like, hey, this person's a rock star. I did a transaction with them and I asked them about their business. And they said to me, man, I see you guys are doing great things over there. You guys got a great culture. You guys train together. You guys are always like, shooting content and you're celebrating each other's successes. And I see that you guys have some opportunities there. What would it look like to be on the team? And they're like, man, come on into our office. Come to one of our workshops. Come to one of our dial days. Come in and see us. Come dial it with us. We'll dial with you, even if you're not with our team. Come on
Mhm.
into our office. We're an office that welcomes everyone. Come and check us out. Get a feel for our office. Get a feel for what we do. And if we're a good fit, let's set up next steps for you. But what's happening is everybody is rising. The quality of our team is rising. And they're themselves, they are telling agents, hey, man, don't come here if you're looking to just hang out and be a country club.
Oh, that's
We're
great.
we're we're here to
You're on the right path now.
come in here if you want to dial, if you need me to help you dial, if you want to go shoot content, you want to visit new construction, you need an open house buddy, you're ready to do, like massive events. Because guess what? We're shifting the culture. In the past, we used to drink through a fire hose, but Veronica's been preparing us that well-rounded agents have multiple sources of business and that we are entrepreneurs within her world that have an obligation to run our business like a business. And she's preparing us and she's teaching us, she's giving us the tools, the resources, bringing in the coach. Yeah, we have this opportunity, this database of over 160,000, like golden opportunities, right? But you gotta hunt.
Yeah.
Now you get that plus let's go network. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. You've got a winning formula. You've got a winning formula here. You want to become a listing agent? You got to do X, Y, Z. I'm going to teach you. I'll be your mentor. Like what I'm loving now is that the culture is it's elevating because of our agents themselves creating the environment of production. But the message I'm bringing home is, guys, the team's going to look different. It's going to feel different, but you're going to be a better agent.
Yeah.
If you follow my lead, I promise you what will happen to your business is going to be life changing. If you can just do the things that I know have helped me and helped every other top agent that I know build a sustainable business. So now it's kind of like they want to protect it. They're like, we only want to be around winners. So it's really exciting. I can't tell you how to get your agents to be more productive because ultimately there's going to be a point where, you know, they might want something different. They might want leverage. They might
Yeah.
want freedom. They might want time. So when I meet with my agents, it's a matter of what's important to you. So somebody might want to sell 50 homes, someone else might want to sell 24 homes, and that's okay. But what I know is they want to be around people that are putting in the work.
So you are becoming a Sisu rock star right now. What was the terminology you used?
Super user.
Super user, Sisu super user. I like that. So as a Sisu super user, have you run a sales contest yet?
No, so we are still playing around with all the gears and all the gadgets, and we're super excited for next week when we fly out there to kind of see how the challenges work. Everybody's like, when's the first challenge? So it's Q1 now. So it's
Cool.
like, I'm thinking, what are we gonna do? March Madness, Q1. I need something exciting to get them going because my team loves competition.
When you come to behind the scenes, I think we should set a goal. Before you leave, we will have a sales contest set up in your platform. The last afternoon, that's what we do we fly our entire success team out here. And the final afternoon is, hey, you spent 2 days seeing what this team, Utah Life, is doing, how they're running Sisu, how they're leveraging Sisu, and how they're, and much, much more than that. But what is it you want to implement that you have not yet implemented, right? And we will do that on site. So here's something I want to suggest. And I've watched hundreds and hundreds of teams do this, and it works. And so, number one, you want your sales contest to be no longer than a month. So maybe we shoot for a February sales contest. You also want your sales contest to be run on appointments met. And Tom Ferry was the first one that ever told me that when I interviewed him about 4 years ago. And he's right. You may want it to be appointments met and one other thing, but that's the cool thing about a scoreboard is you could say appointments met you get, 50 points for every appointment you meet, but everyone you put under contract, you get 100 points, right? Or whatever. And so now you've got this point scoreboard where half of your team is on this team, half's on this team, and now you've got like a NBA game going on, right? Like,
Well, and you and I know both know because we're a Zillow Flex team and we've got some KPIs we've got to meet and we've got other KPIs. So I'm really excited about that because of course we know we have to measure, but I'm like, how do you also keep your people inspired while you're measuring
yeah,
these KPIs, right? That sometimes can feel a little draining. And like I'm really glad that we're talking about this and that you're gonna be my accountability buddy and we're gonna get this going for February. When I say about being a super user, I do want to just kind of just say why I feel like we already feel like we've made so much progress. I'll tell you, you guys helped us save money on our SkySlope integration and our, all the Zapiers that we had connected with that. That saved us about $4,000 a year. We were able to eliminate Monday.com, which saved us probably close to $9,000 a year. We were able to, I mean, like there were just so many things that when we sat there and we looked at the P&L and we looked at, what are the things, every transaction starts in Sisu now. And it, like it allowed us to be able to simplify things. So like for me, I'm like, I feel like we're a super user just with that in itself because we were able to, my ops team and my TC team, right? They didn't have to go through so many systems and, the agents can start and finish everything and, for the most part in one spot. And it
yeah,
also eliminated all these other redundancies and needs and when like I said earlier, cash hides mistakes, right? And
yeah,
and I was able to come to you and be like, Brian, can it replace this, that? So now that we've gotten all that and everything is pretty structured and the processes are flowing and any request that we want, you guys have been able to make that happen for our world. Now it's fun. Now we get to have fun, right?
yeah,
Now that the agents have really adopted, you know how there's always an implementation process and you got to get them onboarded and you got to get them to buy in. Now that they're in, together with some other cool tools that we're using, we talked about some other things that we're doing with Fellow and some other companies, but now it's fun. Now let's make it
yeah,
fun again. Because we talked about KPIs, right? You can KPI your people to death, but how do you also keep them inspired to keep the ball moving and keep them going? And competitions are fun. So like I said, Fig team, a lot of times people think it's the Fig team, short for Figueroa. I guess it makes sense. But really for me, it's about family, inspiration, and growth. I really want these people, they are important to me. They're my family. And it's my job to keep them inspired and to help them grow a business that will hopefully last them however long they want to be in this career. There's no plan B for me. And we stand by those core beliefs. I could break it down even more, faith and just being innovative and also being a generous person. I that's just who I am and what I want this team to feel like. So it is really fun to build something that you could reward people for the activities that really move their business forward, such as appointment set and meeting those benchmarks that we need to meet as a team. One of the things I didn't mention to you, Brian, that I believe is the reason we became the number one team when we did is, I set out an intention probably about 5, 6 years ago. It was me with my back up against the wall, and I took some really big risk and some big leap. I took a big leap of faith, and I'll never forget one of the things that I said is I want to become one of the best operators in the country. I want to show that number one, I can do this. Number two, like women have a seat at the table and scrappy, with my scrappy little mindset, I had big dreams, but I knew there were areas of my business that were flawed and it was on the operational side. I could go out there and just paint this big vision, but I needed to be able to implement. And that is where I got to work. And I was like, I'm going to learn, I'm going to be a student. I was very unassuming. I'd get in these rooms and I'd watch what people were doing. I was like, I could do that. If I implement this, I could do this, and I can learn from what this person did and their mistakes. And then I just got to work. And one thing I did is I just recruited talent. I recruited talent that could help me fill the gaps in the areas that I perhaps wasn't as strong in it. It was my job to share the vision and show
mhm,
them, tell them where we were going. And it wasn't a straight line. It looked like the zigzag, but it was one thing that it drove me to show that if I could do it, man, anybody, like, let's do this. Let me show others how they could do it too. So, I'm humble enough to say that that was my driver because I had something to prove to myself. It wasn't
yeah,
anybody. I had to prove it to myself. Then once I got there, now I also have the responsibility to let people know I didn't always do it the right way. It wasn't done the right way. Now I'm rebuilding, and this time around, I'm excited to do it in a way that feels good for the people I'm doing it for.
Yeah. If I had to guess, I'm guessing you've had a lot of people tell you in your life that you can't do something. Is that right?
Kind of, sort of.
Little. Here's what I love about you, Veronica, and I know we're about out of time. So I just want to point out some things I observe. You obviously don't take no for an answer. You believe in yourself enough that you're going to share the vision with those around you. And that's why you've become a great leader, because you are able to transfer that vision and have those around you support you in that and help you build it. And in turn, you are not afraid to talk to anybody. And if I had to say one unique talent of yours, you are probably the biggest connector,
Mhm.
master connector of anybody I know, which is why I went to the Unlock event a couple of years ago. You were on stage interviewing everybody, right? I went to the place. What's the event called they do?
Built how?
The Built How event in Arizona. You were on stage interviewing everybody. And you just have a way of bringing the best together. And so,
Means
anyway,
a lot coming from you.
it's been really, really fun to get to know you. And I know you've helped connect me as well. And, because of that, Sisu and EXP have a relationship where EXP is now providing Sisu to a lot of their agents. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to you for that, right? Because you were able to connect us. So anyway, I just want to say it's an honor to have you here. I have about 10 more questions for you that I'd love to ask another time because I know you've got to catch a plane. So anyway, thank you for joining me on the show today. Happy New Year. And I'm excited to see you at behind the scenes of a real estate machine here in Utah next week.
I'm excited, and we'll have to give them the update on the challenge once we're done with the challenge. So thank you
Yes,
so
we
much,
will.
Brian. I appreciate you, and congrats for all your success, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for joining us on our podcast. If you have an interest in a free 7-day trial of Sisu, go to sisu.co, sisu.co. Make sure that you use the coupon code GRIT, that's GRIT, to waive all your setup fees and receive a 10% discount on your subscription. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast and want to subscribe, search GRIT, the Real Estate Growth Mindset, on iTunes, Spotify, or Podbean. And with that, we'll catch you next time. Take care.